Hello everyone and welcome to a new video today, and today's video is going to be the official guide for SimToolKitPro as of patch 1.0. Now I am on a test build, so things could be subject to change ever so slightly, but what you'll have will be very similar to what I currently showing today. If you do have any questions though, please drop a comment below and I will do my absolute best to answer them. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is head over to the SimToolKitPro website. A link will be down below in the description. When you're on here, all you want to do is click on download and then choose the platform you're using, be it Windows or Mac or even Linux, and simply hit download. Once it's downloaded, just run the installer, get it installed, and that's it, up and running on your computer. Okay, so the first time you load up SimToolKitPro, you'll be greeted with the first run wizard. Now this is basically get you up and running to use SimToolKitPro and have it speaking to your simulators. So on stage 1 here, you're going to want to put your SimBrief alias in here, so your SimBrief name. If you're not sure what it is, simply log into your SimBrief and stick in your name from SimBrief. So for me, for example, it's just Motorsewer. You can enable or disable analytics, it's entirely up to yourself. Once you're happy there, you hit next. Now here, this is if you wish the SimToolKitPro to auto-complete flights or for you to do it manually. Now we'll show that later on in the video, but for me personally, I like to manually hit finish flight when I'm ready to finish the flight, so I have this off. It's entirely up to you. We're going to hit next. Now if you're running XP11, you simply enable it. So right now it would look like this. So if you run an XP11, you hit enable, you tell it where XP11 is by hitting find, navigate into the folder where XP the root folder is, and just select that folder. Now if you are running this on a different computer, it's a little bit more in depth and we won't go over it in this video, but if you do wish for a guide on that, please let us know below and we will absolutely make a video for you on that one as well. So once you're happy with this, if you got it or haven't got XP11, you hit next. Now this is for FSX or P3D. Now I don't have these installed, but if you did, for example, P3D, you just enable it. It's the same process, you find where the folder is and exactly the same as the XP version. So I don't have them, so they're going to be off. Next step. Now this is for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We don't have to tell it where it's installed. It's pretty clever. It will find it. Now regarding the connection type, if you're not sure, just leave it on SimConnect. But if you are someone that prefers FSU IPC, then obviously select that instead. If you're not sure, SimConnect is the main source across most platforms for tracking flight information. So I'm going to leave it on SimConnect and we're going to hit next. And that's it. We're going to hit finish. And now we're greeted with the dashboard of SimToolKitPro. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to go and change some settings if required. So on the left hand side here, we're going to hit settings. And now the general settings here are very self-explanatory. So for example, do you want to confirm exit? So if you hit the cross up here, it will say, are you sure you want to exit? It's very self-explanatory on this. Now a nice little one I would suggest not disabling is this one here if you fly on networks. So which we'll show you on later on when we actually make a flight. But if you fly on a network, for example, like VATSIM, and forget to pre-file, this will tell you, SimToolKitPro will tell you that you have not pre-filed your flight plan to VATSIM yet. It's a nice little feature and it is actually used, I've actually used it several times already because I always forget to do that. So if you need to rerun the first run wizard again, that's just here as well for if you need to do that for whatever reason. Now screenshots here, with SimToolKitPro, as you fly along, you can actually now take screenshots. Now this could be subject to change, and if it does change, I'll put like a little comment on the screen. But right now, if you're flying along and press Alt F1, so that's Alt F1, it will take a nice little screenshot and it will actually show up on your flight track and also in your logbook, which I will show you later on. Now it also looks and monitors your simulator for new screenshots as well. So for example, in XP11, we know they're in the output folder. Microsoft Flight Simulator, now this can obviously change depending where you tell it to save or how you want to process the screenshots for Microsoft Flight Simulator. But for example, XP11, it's a nice simple shift and spacebar will take a screenshot. Same for P3D and FSX, however you set it up, and you can customize these as you see fit. Regarding performance here, so I fly mainly on VATSIM, but I do go onto IVO occasionally. But if you want to switch these out, you can just simply enable or disable them. And now what this does is on the actual live map here and the flight summary page, which you'll see later on, it will actually show, or can show with a toggle, those aircraft flying on that network along with the air traffic control as well. So for example, if you use Pilot Edge, you just simply enable it. Now scrolling down here, passive flight login. Well, now what this does is a very clever bit of kit. So if you've got SimToolKitPro open and you fly a GA flight, you don't file a flight plan or anything, and you leave, let's say for example, Edinburgh, and you fly all the way down to Southend without making a flight plan or anything, and once you've taken off and landed, SimToolKitPro will actually kind of go, okay, you flew from there to here, this is your landing rate, and it will log it for you. Like, it's really, really cool. Simulator setup. Now, regarding the weather source, I use live most of the time. I should probably have this on VATSIM because I am on VATSIM most of the time. I'll change that now. But you can have it as you see fit. If you use Active Sky, IVO, VATSIM, or live, you can just change it here. So for me, I should have had this on VATSIM. And again, this is your SimBrief alias. So if you do need to change your SimBrief username for whatever reason, this is where you change it down here. And if for whatever reason you need to reset your account, the big red bar right at the bottom here, and that is how you process that. Okay, so once we've done this page at the top here, because I've enabled X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you enable P3D, for example, you'd also see that at the top. So I'm going to go to X-Plane. Now, what you do need to do is tell this where X-Plane is installed, the root folder, if it hasn't found it already from the run wizard. But what you want to do is you want to hit install plugin, and that will install a plugin into the plugins folder within X-Plane. So X-Plane and SimToolKitPro can actually talk to each other, and it can track your flights. Now, what we can also do down here is show your custom scenery that you may have for the simulator. So you literally hit auto scan the scenery, and it will scan your X-Plane folder, for example, and find all your custom scenery, and it marks it on the map, which we will show you later on. Regarding Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we're going to hit Microsoft Flight Simulator at the top here. Again, this is where you can switch between SimConnect to FS UIPC if you do need to switch them. Now, with Microsoft Flight Simulator scenery, if you wish your custom scenery to show on the live map, you will need to tell this where your community folder is. It will not find it automatically. So you need to find that. Once you've found it, you literally hit auto scan for scenery, and you should start seeing them pop through and populate down here. Now, if some people have issues where SimToolKitPro won't speak to Microsoft Flight Simulator, 99% of the time it is due to a SimConnect issue. Regarding with Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you have that problem, make sure Microsoft Flight Simulator is not running, and hit install SimConnect library just here, and then reload Microsoft Flight Simulator and reconnect and everything, which we'll show you later on in the video, and it should start tracking no problem at all. If for whatever reason there is still an issue regarding that, on the left side here you'll see a link directly to the SimToolKitPro official Discord for their support. So click on that if you still have any major issues where SimToolKitPro will not speak to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go over is the fleet page. So on the left hand side here, we're going to click on my fleet. Now, as you can see, over the years, I have quite populated mine. Now, if you've never ran SimToolKitPro before, this will be completely empty. To add a new aircraft to your fleet, be it empty or not, it's pretty nice and easy. So at the top right here, you're going to hit the plus icon. You're going to type in the registration of the aircraft. So for example, I'm going to type in November 844 Victor Alpha, hit OK. And this is an A320 Alaska Airlines. Now, it pulls all the information through, and it is quite lovely and a very quick process. So what we've got some information on the left here. So airline says none, that's fine, we can fix that in a second, but the airframe is an A320, that is the registration, and it's brought through this beautiful picture of the actual aircraft itself. Now, if it does say none or anything you need to change, not a problem at all. So if you put a registration in and it's got nothing there and nothing there, you just hit the pencil icon on the left, and what we're going to do is we're going to type in Alaska, and there we go, Alaska Airlines. We're going to select it, and there we are, Alaska Airlines, ASA, is an A320, and the registration is there. Now, all we could do is we can hit OK, and if I look onto my fleet profile now, there it is at the bottom. Now, this is the Phoenix Alaska A320 that I've added onto my fleet here. So what we can do, because the Phoenix does have a custom SimBrief profile, as most of you may know, or if any aircraft has a custom SimBrief profile or you've made one yourself, you can add it in here, which isn't a problem. So under dispatch here, you can see SimBrief by iCal. So we're going to hit the pencil icon. Now, on the SimBrief itself, you can see where this picture indicates the base type A320 internal ID, which was this. Now, this is just an example. Now, you could just type in the numbers yourself, or if it's one that you've already got added to your existing fleet. So, for example, all my Phoenix A320s have the same SimBrief profile. I can copy it from another one. So just down here, I'm going to click on this box, which brings me this information here. And if I scroll through here and I'm looking for a specific easy, there it is. So this one here, this specific GEZUI A320, I know is a custom profile for the Phoenix A320. So I'm going to click on that, and there we go. It's populated. I hit OK, and I hit OK. And every time I make a new route using that aircraft, it will use that custom SimBrief profile. But what happens if you want to add an airline or aircraft to your fleet that isn't either real, it no longer exists, or it's a virtual airline, for example? That's really simple as well. So we're going to hit the plus icon again. We're going to get rid of the previous information. So I'm going to type in G-SimToolKitPro. Going to hit OK. And as you can see, that populates absolutely nothing. Now, that's not a problem. You can customize this as you see fit. So the airline, so I'm going to do, you can put any airline you want if you really wish to, or you can just type in PVT for private. So I'm going to do private. Airframe, again, anything you want. Let's do a 748, for example. So 747-800. And you can do location if you really want. So if you want to say this aircraft is going to start here and fly here, for example, you can do that, not a problem. Again, if you want a custom SimBrief profile, you can add that here. Auto select an image, you can press that, and if this registration used to exist, it will try and pull that image through. If you want a custom one, just click on the box here and navigate through your computer and select a custom image. And once you're happy, you just simply hit OK. And if we scroll down, you can see it exists here. And to give you an idea of the custom images, yeah, you can have fun. You can have fun. And if you want to delete any aircraft in your fleet, you simply click it, so it loads up here, and you just hit the bin icon up here, and it will delete. So the next thing we'll look at is the logbook, which is on the left-hand side here. So my logbook, and as you can see from mine, it is a bit of a mess. And you can see your stats here as well. So total flights, I've done this, and hours and distance. I try to not look at these numbers. But you've got a lot of information here, and as you can see, it is a mess right now, but it's showing everything you've done. So for example, I can go through here and I can just select on any of these, and there we go. So it highlights what I've done, where I went and where I left and where I went to, some information. Now, if you did take some screenshots while flying along, these will come into your logbook as well. So for example, let me just see if I can find it real quick. I think it's this one. There we go. For some reason, I don't take many screenshots when I stream for whatever reason. But this one here, we can see I took a screenshot, and there it is there. So I can either click on the map here, and it populates just there, like you would see in the flight summary page, which we'll show you later on. Or in the logbook, I can click on that, and there's the picture I took. And also you've got some more information as well. If you wanted to, you can delete this log, but you can see some basic information, but you can hit view details, and it gives you a lot more information. So you can see the OFP, the original one that you got from SimBrief, any comments. So if you need to leave a comment when you finish the flight, you can leave that here. And if you hit the view full landing report, I'm probably going to regret this, but let's have a look. Actually, it's not too bad, not too bad. So there's like the threshold here. I landed pretty nicely. I'll take that. I'll take that. That's my touchdown point here, and there's the threshold, as you can see. It gives you a lot more information regarding the landing and everything. And yeah, it's just what it is, a logbook of all your flights that you've done using SimToolKitPro. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is actually creating a flight. Now, there's two ways you can go about doing this. You can either on the dashboard here, hit plan a flight, or on the left-hand side, flight planning here. So we're just going to click on the dashboard here, and there's two ways of doing this. And I'll show you the nice, quick, easy way first, and then we'll show you the bit more in-depth, complicated ish way afterwards as well. So we're going to say let's go from Heathrow, so EGLL, and we're going to head over to EGPE to Inverness, and it gives you a distance and a rough time how long it's going to take you to get there. Now keep in mind this is from point to point. If you've got any difference for ATC or something, obviously that can be subject to change, but it gives you a nice rough idea of how long the flight would actually take. So once you're happy with the departure and the arrival, we're going to hit the blue arrow. Now we select the aircraft that you want. You can either look through these, for example, or just actually search. So I'm just going to type in BAW, and we'll just go with an A320 Speedbird, well, shuttle in this instance. So departure time, so we're going to do it for today, for example, and you can change the time. Now this is obviously in Zulu, so if you need to change that, you can change that by all means. The flight number and call sign, so this is BA, so what we're going to do is we're going to type in 236, and this would be a shuttle flight for me. So for example, I type in SHT and then 236, so I would be shuttle 236. The plan in units, either kilograms or pounds, so kilograms, they hit the arrow, and this will populate, so give this 1 second from SimBrief. Okay, so once that's populated from SimBrief, you'll be greeted with this page. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pause here. We're going to go back to the flight plan and show you the more advanced flight planning, and then we'll both, all of us will come back to this stage and we'll continue from here. Okay, so we're back on the flight plan part here. Now, if you need a bit more advanced instead of just the quick flight planning, at the top right here, you can hit Advanced Planner, and some of you may be more familiar with this page. So it works the same way. So we're going to go from EGLL, so from Heathrow, to EGPE to Inverness, and it actually shows you real flights that do that flight. So A320, A319. So what we're going to do is aircraft. So I'm going to type in BAW. Now you can type in BAW, you can type in A320, you can type in the registration of the aircraft. So I think it was G-Busk, I think. So G-Busk. So there's many ways of finding the aircraft that you're actually looking for. So there we go. So there's the aircraft here. So call sign would be SHT 236. We'll put 236 here, and this is the departure date and time. Again, you can change that here. The plan format, just keep it as default if you're not sure. Kilograms or pounds, so kilograms. Now, the import from existing plan, we're not going to go over that on this tutorial here, but it is very self-explanatory. You can just drag and drop or use different systems here to get flight plans, unless if you're not using SimBrief. Now, if you are using something like a VA that gives you very specific fuel, weights, cargo, passengers, etc., what you can do is you can hit Advanced down here. And what this will do is it gets rid of that information, and you can then manually fill in everything here to generate your flight plan. And obviously select your aircraft, your call sign, etc. Now this is again if you want something very specific, or if you're using a VA that gives you that information where you have to put it in. But if you're doing just a generic one, you can either use this new feature here, the new layout, quick and easy, or you can hit Advanced and go through this way instead. So we'll go this way. So EGLL, Heathrow to EGPE to Inverness. I am going to change the aircraft here. So it was G-Busk, wasn't it? So there we go. So that just repopulates down here. So we are SHT 236 and 236. I'm happy with everything else right now, and you hit Generate Plan. And again, that's going to grab it from SimBrief. So you're just going to give that a second and to generate that and put it through. And there we go. And once that's done, we are greeted with the same page we saw a second ago. There we are. So now we're on the second stage of the flight planning. Okay, so on this page, we're greeted with quite a lot of information. So here is our route here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the top bar first and then work our way down. So as we saw here, the flight number, the call sign, the aircraft, which is what we pre-selected before. Here is your route given by SimBrief. This is how long it is in distance, the rough time it will take you, and up here is under network. Now, so for example, in this one, we'll be doing VATSIM, or if you're offline, you can hit offline, and the same for IVO, etc. Now, one really cool thing is if you are flying on VATSIM, so if you click that, if there is a controller online at your arrival or departing airport, you actually will get the ATIS for that network down here. So in this example, I've selected VATSIM, and we can see we have a departure ATIS online. So I can click this and get the VATSIM ATIS here for Heathrow. So if this needs to change for whatever reason at the bottom here, so we can see here the departing runway is 09 right, and that is what we have selected right here, 09 right. Now if it was 09 left, you simply click on here and select 09 left, and there we go. And then you can then change the SID, or the SID, sorry, for the departure as well. So in this case, it will, off that one, it will most likely be the 1 kilo one. So there we go. And if we zoom in down here and click on the SIDs here, you can actually see them populate on the map to give you a better idea. So with that one, as you can see on the 1 kilo, the pink is perfectly over the blue, and that is the one we definitely want. But again, it says 09 right, so we're going to do 09 right, and we're going to zoom in and kind of go, okay, which one do we want? Let's have a look. It will be this one here. So we're going to click that, and there we go. That has now been amended for that one, for the departure ATIS of VATSIM. And it's the same for the arrival. Now there is no star going into Inverness on this again, so we've got 05. If you need to change that, you can do. You can change it to an ILS if you wish to, an RNAV, or whatever it may be. And there, if it had stars, the stars would be populated here as well. Now at the top here, we can hit export. Now, if you're flying an aircraft that does need a flight plan saved on your computer, so for example, the PMDG for Microsoft Flight Simulator does need that to be saved, or if you're an X-plane, you need to save that regardless. So all you do is you hit export for FMS plan file, and yours will have a lot more populated than mine, but if you hit enable disable, you can hide the ones that you'll never use or don't need, and you just hit OK. Oh, my mistake, you hit the disable enable again. So if we're, for example, flying the PMDG on Microsoft Flight Simulator, I would click on PMDG flight plan. You'd navigate to where that file needs to be saved. Now, once you've found it once, it will remember where it is. So you just only have to open it and then hit save. If it's XP11, you just XP11, and it goes to the output FMS plans, and you save it into there. So you just hit save, for example, and you can see top right, it's saying it has exported successfully. So once you've got that bit done, you just simply hit OK. So we now have that flight plan saved in the correct folder if required. If you are flying on a network like VATSIM, you can pre-file. So pre-file VATSIM. If you forget to do this, which I will show you, me not pre-filing. So if you don't do it here, I'll go to the next page in a second, and you'll see what it will tell you. It's pretty nice and pretty simple. So this is the final little touches you need to do. So once you're happy with this, you just simply hit fly now, and there we go. So we got the information here. This is the flight summary page. Now on the flight summary page, as we can see here, the first thing I'm going to show you is you have not pre-filed your flight plan yet. So it will give you nice big letters here and a big blue border saying you haven't pre-filed. So you're like, uh-oh. So you just go to flight, VATSIM, click that. It will open up a web page, which you can't see. There we go. Here we are. And it pre-files all this information for you. You just need to change anything if required. So for example, if you need to put some remarks in, you can just do that and hit file flight plan. And once you've done that, you can see that border has gone away. So yeah, and then when you're in the simulator, you need to connect it to the simulator. So be it X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Sim, in my case, or P3D, it just says down here, you're not connected. Once you've got the sim running, you just simply hit either whatever sim you're flying on. So for example, if I was on X-Plane, I'd click that. It would try and connect to XP11. As you can see, we did select VATSIM, and these little green planes are people flying on VATSIM. The green borders are ATC coverage for VATSIM as well. And it is absolutely fantastic. It's great for situation awareness. And if you're flying along, so if we're flying up here right now, just passing Manchester, we've got no ATC, and then if someone came online, it would literally just populate like this, and we can see that we now have ATC. So we best get ready to contact them if required. So working at the top here, so you've got your departure time here. Now we've got 7.5 minutes. Obviously we're not going to make that, but if you do go over this, it will pop up red and say basically you're late. And then once we've landed, we've completed the flight, we've landed, we've parked up, we've shut down the aircraft, everything, you can hit finish flight. You could put a comment in here if you wish to, and you just simply hit OK. And that will log your flight and put it in the logbook, which we saw earlier. You've got ATIS and META. So we have the ATIS for Heathrow because we have a controller online. But if you didn't, for example, in Inverness, you simply click on the META part here and it will give you the META for the airport. And it's the same for Heathrow as well. You can just hit the Heathrow META and there's the basic META. But again, if the controller's online, you hit the ATIS and it gives you the ATIS. You've got the OFP. Which is from the SimBrief itself, which you can also pop out, and it will be on top of anything, so you can just drag this into your simulator, move it around as you see fit, resize and everything, and you can use this information to start filling out information on the aircraft FMC or the MUC-do. So you can close that. We're going to close that and load sheet. So this is basically the same as the OFP, but just a very condensed version. We're going to pop that out, same process. So this is what I tend to use 90% of the time. It's just the same as the OFP, just condensed, and it's only the information you need. So you've got your payloads, you've got your zero fuel weight, you've got your fuel, en route fuel, etc., your reserves, your passengers, your cargo. This is your route here, your cost index, your flight levels, and you've got the metas here as well if required. So it's just a handy, quick chart, so to speak, of information that the key information you need. Close it once you're done. We're going to close that too. Then you've got a scratch pad if required. So if you want to speak to ATCs, give them some information, you can just type away whatever they may be saying and use that as a scratch pad. And then what we're going to do is under flight here. So if you do need to change anything on regarding the flight, that's all done through here as well. So VATSIM IVO, for example, you can just pre-file if you need to re-pre-file. You can divert the flight, you can cancel the diversion, you can edit the flight. So if we edit the flight here, it will bring you back to this page that we saw a moment ago. You can change something that may be required. It could be a different routing from the network or whatever it may be. And once you've made your amendments, you just simply hit update and it will update it here for you. And then you've got your cancel your flight. So if you do need to cancel it for whatever reason, say you've had a SIM crash and you just can't be bothered to fly anymore, you just hit cancel flight. You can export the flight plan again if you forgot to save the file. But yeah, some basic information on amending this. The map itself, so you can do an auto follow me, an auto zoom, a weather overlay. So I've enabled that and we can start seeing the weather populate through the summary page here. I tend to have it off. I don't know why, I just do. I like to be surprised, I guess. ATC coverage and flight networks, very self-explanatory. If we untick them, everyone disappears. Anyone that's yellow for me, for example, they will be popping up and they are people on your friends list, which I'll show you in a moment. I think there's only the one flying right now for me. That is a yes. And so we're going to go back to map. We're going to ATC coverage and show network flights. And what we're going to do is, there you go, my friends. If I turn that on and off, that yellow plane will populate or not populate, basically. You can change this to a standard map, VFR map if you wished, and be immediately flashbanged, but it is absolutely fantastic. And I'll show you a bit more of this later on. So if you're doing VFR flying, there it is there. But we're going to go to standard map for this one. Right, so on the right here, so you've got friends. So if friends are flying, you hit friends and it'll be a plus icon like this. You just press that and they will show on your map if they are flying along. Go back to my plan to get back here. Now on the right here, you've got some basic information. You've got a lovely photo of your aircraft that you're flying, where you're going from and where you're going to, and the call sign and everything, the routes here as well. And here's some information about your departing airport and your arriving airport. So departing airport, so we can see we're departing 09 right. The elevation is 83 feet. The heading on takeoff, the length of the runway, the slope, the density altitude, and the ISA as well. The temperature, sorry. The same for the arrival, and we can work our way through here as well. So I'm going to show departure details, which is this one. Then you've got weather, if required, if there isn't an ATIS online. You've got the radio frequencies if you so require them as well, and then you have airport charts. Now the airport charts here, they do use the chart fox. If you're using something like Navigraph, I'll show you that later on in the video. So we're going to go back to flight summary here. My mistake, click on flight summary up here. And now what we can do is we can also hit show full route, and this will show you all the waypoints that you'll be going through. but it's hidden by default. And if you need to hide it, again, you just hit hide full route and it just shows this information. Now, if we click on the magnifying glass, it will zoom into the airport. So here we are, and as you get closer to the airport, it will actually show the taxiways and the runways, etc., etc. And it's a great way as well of going, right, I'm going to spawn in, I'm on VATSIM, it's a busy airport, where's free? So for example, shuttle, I will probably spawn over here, maybe 535 or something. I know this one here and this one here are populated. In fact, there's 2 aircraft on top of each other there. And yeah, so you've got the taxiway information. So say we are parked here at 533 and we're taking off on 09 right, it was, wasn't it? So if the ATC gives you taxi instructions, you can either write them, well, you'd write them down. Someone's at my door. You'd write them down, and what you can do is you can press this pen icon up here, and then you can literally draw, okay, so they're going to want me to go here, they want me to go down here, they want me to go here, down this way, and own to 09 right. You can actually draw where you need to go. Now your aircraft will be populated like these little green ones, but it'll be blue when you're in the simulator. But you can also draw where you need to go, and it will be a nice handy little guide. You can delete that information, or if you just scribble along like this, you can just undo it and it goes away. Okay, so as we can see here as well, my time for takeoff has gone past what I said I would, and it is now saying that I'm late. Now, a quick handy little tip. So say your simulator does crash and it's got like an autosave on the aircraft or something, and you go back in the air. What you do want to do is you want to go to dashboard, you want to hit disconnect, connect, and then select the simulator that you're in. So be it Microsoft Flight Sim, X-Plane, P3D, whatever it may be. So then you just hit connect, and then it should then start retracking everything back to normal. Okay, so here's a cool little thing with SimToolKitPro that I want to show you guys. On the left-hand side here, you've got real airline ops. If you click on this, and then select an airline. So say you want to do some Ryanair flights, for example, but you're not sure where to fly. So you literally just type in Ryan Air, or Ryan, there it is, and you select the Ryanair ones here. So I'm going to select this. Now, do give this a second because it is loading a lot of information. Obviously, depending on what airline you pick, be it Ryanair or it could be something a lot smaller airline, for example, it does depend on the loading time. So as we can see, it's still trying to populate this information, but there we go. And this is why it's taken so long, and I had no idea Ryanair did this route here. But as we can see here, what it does is it basically makes just a giant web, again, depending on what airline you pick. But we've got some information. So what we can do is we can filter this. So obviously Ryanair does do 737s, but we can filter it between 737, 800, 700s, or the Maxes. So let's say the 738. So we're going to pick on the 738 here. And let's say we want to do a flight that's between 2 to 5 hours. We're going to hit search. So we're going to click on that. So 737, 800s, between 2 hours and 5 hours. We hit search. And now if we scroll through here, these are all the flights. Oh wow, Ryanair do a lot more than I thought. These are all the flights that Ryanair does. So we can look through these and kind of go, okay, that looks like a fun one. So that's Stansted to LEAM. I'm not entirely sure what that is. It looks like it, yeah, in Spain. So what we can do, so that's about 2.5-ish hours. So we can click on this information here, and we can hit fly. So we can either go from Stansted to Spain or the other way around, or you could schedule it as well. But it's just a great little bit of a great little tool to use if you're not sure where you want to fly, but you want to fly. You know what airline you want to use, so you could do real ops. And you just simply hit fly, you select this information here, and it will start auto-populating this bit information for, this bit in for you as well. And then you can start programming like we did before for the flight planning. I just think it's a cool little feature that I want to show you guys. I'm just going to show you another quick thing as well with SimToolKitPro. On the left-hand side here, if you go to VFR flight planning, now I do need to say that this is still very, very work in progress, but it's enough to get you going for some VFR. So if we zoom in onto the UK here, for example, we've got some, the information starts populating on the map, which is incredible. So say we want to do a quick VFR flight. So from leaving Nottingham here, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click that, Nottingham, and we're going to say we're going to depart from here. We're going to fly over here, so we right click, add that as a point. We're going to go down to Leicester, select the airport, and it is going to be an overfly. And then we're going to select Derby up here. In fact, we'll select East Midlands, and that is also an overfly. And then we're going to go back to this airport, this marker here, and we're going to hit arrive. So as you can see, it is a very basic VFR planning. It populates on the right here, as you can see. If you're happy with what you've done, you just simply hit fly now, and that will take you to the flight summary page that we saw before. You can also move these about. So say you want to move east mids up this way, and you can just basically move these about as you see fit. If you want to change them, you can delete markers as well. But this is just very, very work in progress still, guys. But it is enough just to get you going. It gives you the information, and obviously the more you zoom in into a location, the more information you'll actually get. And it's the same for the stateside as well. We start zooming in and give it a moment. And there we go. It starts populating all the information that you may require for VFR flying. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is at the bottom here, you'll have some information. So you've got the current AirX cycle that is SimToolKitPro is using. You've got the time in Zulu, but on the right here, you've got some tabs. Now you can enable tabs, which you can just, for example, Navigraph here. So if I click on that, it shows me my Navigraph, and it's just a lovely, sleek pop-out window. Now to enable these, you just on the right here, you select this little cog icon. And then you enable a bar, you give it a name, for example, whatever it may be. It could be Sky Vector, it could be anything really. You enable it, then you do the drop down. So if it's a pre-one like Active Sky, Navigraph, ChartFox, Sky Vector Windy, it will automatically pop in the URL as you can see here. If it is a custom one, you can just drop the URL directly in here as well. And once you're happy, you just hit OK. And then down here, you'll see stuff popping through. So there's Windy, for example, the fly-by-wire calculator that I use, the Sky Vector itself, and then obviously Navigraph. And also on the right here, you can get the weather information. So let's type in EGLL, so you can get the meta, which will populate there. You've got the TAF as well, and you also have NOTAMs. So if you do want to get some NOTAMs, there they are. There's the NOTAMs for Heathrow. And once you're happy with this, you just simply hit close. You can hit the cross here to close these. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you today is the live map. Now the live map is just an overview of SimToolKitPro, and it just gives you every information that you just want to have a quick look at, for example, if you wished. So you've got the NAT lines here as well, which do update automatically, which are fantastic. In fact, there's someone flying a Concorde right there, Speedbird 99 Concorde. It's quite a long flight actually. So we've got, as you can see, it's got information. Now these are VATSIM flights here. So what I'm just going to do, so I'm going to select VATSIM and just hide those aircraft, SimToolKitPro and hide those aircraft, so I can just show you guys this information. So our route from the one we planned earlier, that's still in the flight summary, is still populated here. And if I go to flight summary, go to flight, cancel the flight, yes, and go back to live map. As you can see, it is no longer there. So you can use this if you wish. Now these markers here, these are the custom airports that I have for my simulators that I showed you at the start. So for Microsoft Flight Simulator and for X-Plane. And at the top here, you've got some information. So SimToolKitPro, that will show the people using SimToolKitPro right now and flying along right now. Then you've got VATSIM, so you can go flights. You've got the area ATC or the airport ATC. You can populate them as you see fit. The same for IVAO. You can even have all of them on at exactly the same time if you really wished. I primarily use VATSIM, so I tend to have it just on VATSIM. Then you've got overlays, so you've got the NAT lines that we just saw here. You can actually see them. You've got the NAT route data as well, so you've got that information, which again updates in real time, which is incredible. Just going to hide that a second. You've got rainfall, which is basically the weather information that we saw on the flight summary page before. You've got the airspace boundaries if you so wish to have that enabled, and as you can see guys, it's just very self-explanatory, and this is where you enable disable your custom scenery as well for airports. So XP11, and if I tick that, you can see them populate and unpopulate. So under controls here, you've got the automatic follow me or auto zoom as well, and you can go to an iCal, call sign, or username. And then under options, you can change colors. You can really customize this as you see fit. So I've done some customization, but not much. So for example, my friends, I've made it bright yellow. I think that might be default now. I'm not entirely sure, but you can customize it any way you see fit. Once you're happy, you just simply hit save. Okay, so that covers basically everything for the new patch of 1.0. I hope I've covered everything any new members may need, or even existing members that you did not know, or the new features. Again, if you have any questions, please drop a comment below. I will do my absolute best to answer them all. If you have anything that is very specific related to a major issue or anything along those lines, do not forget, guys, on the left hand side here, there is a link directly to the support Discord for SimToolKitPro. And they will be absolutely amazing over there, and they will be able to help you any way that they can. Again, if you do have any questions, just basic questions, please drop a comment below and I will do my best to answer away. And I hope I've covered everything that you require. And yeah, have fun with SimToolKitPro. It's an amazing bit of kit and it is totally free. Until next time, guys, have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.